Welcome to the AFR Saints channel, where we provide you daily content on your favorite team, the New Orleans Saints. Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button. Be sure to leave your comments below and smash that like button. Who dat? Larry Holder is with us right now from theathletic.com/New Orleans. Larry, a happy new year to you. Thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm good, Matthew. Happy New Year's to you. And look, before we even get started, I just wanted to say last week when I was on with Musso and Mario, I did not give the Saints enough credit of a chance to make the postseason. And someone actually called me out on it on Twitter, and I've got to say I've got to do a little bit of a mea culpa to that person because I should have given them more credit to make the playoffs, given the oppositions around them and the way that the defense responded in this past game. So, look, mea culpa for me.
It's stunning. When they lost to Buffalo, I thought it was over. And yet here they are going into Week 17. And, Larry, I would be genuinely surprised if they didn't make the playoffs now. Do you feel the same way? Like, if you had a guess, do you think they're in?
I would say I would put the percentages more in the Saints' favor than not, for sure, at this point. It all comes down to the Saints winning and San Francisco losing to the Rams. The Rams have something to play for. They certainly want to play for seeding and to win the West, and that is still up for grabs. And then you look at it, and the Saints, I would think they would be favored to win against the Falcons, even though it's on the road, as the Falcons are out of playoff competition. But, look, San Francisco can be a tough ask, even though it seems like Trey Lance is going to be the quarterback there. And we've seen Matthew Stafford be a little shaky the last few weeks. And then we've also seen the Falcons beat the Saints this year. So, there are ways where you could feel confident, and then there are other ways where you feel like, it's still up in the air. But, if you and I'm sure you're asking me, do I think the Saints will make the playoffs? I do think they will make the playoffs.
Yeah,
I think they could beat Atlanta, and San Francisco can fall to the Rams.
It's stunning to think where this was just a few short weeks ago. Okay, I'll get into some particulars in a second, but I also want to ask about Cam Jordan. Did this guy just need a week off? This is incredible. He didn't have a sack until week 7, Larry. Now he's at 11.5. What happened with Cam Jordan?
You know what? I think people joke, say, he's gotten stronger after COVID, this, that, and the other. I think, though, that maybe a week of rest could have helped him. And then you finally get him teamed up with a healthier Marcus Davenport and David Onyemata in the lineup. You remember those first mentioned those first 7 games. Davenport was banged up. Onyemata wasn't even playing. So you add them all together, and then I think Cam Jordan had some favorable matchups. He always does well against Tampa. He's certainly familiar with Carolina. And bing, bang, boom, he actually deserves to be a Pro Bowler now, as opposed to a couple weeks ago when he was named and people pointed at him and saying he just got in on reputation. Well, now the numbers show that it's deserved. And so I think that's a huge plus, obviously, for the Saints. Their defense needs to be the calling card. Pass rush needs to be paramount. They're getting that from a bunch of their front four, and you throw in Demario Davis now that he's back. But I think having Cam Jordan have a resurgence like this has been huge and will be huge again on Sunday, because I don't even know how many sacks he's had on Matt Ryan. 40, 50? I don't know. It feels like that in his career. He's feasted on Matt Ryan, and so this is a perfect opportunity for him to kind of be a game changer again and help the Saints give them a real good shot to make the postseason.
I did not prep you on this question, so if you don't have a great answer off the bat, I'll understand. But if they make the playoffs, I would argue this is Sean Payton's best coaching job. Would you agree?
I'd say it's one of. It's hard to say. Look, Super Bowl year. It's hard to say. That team wasn't the most talented team that the Saints ever had, and so he certainly was able to coach his tail off and get them to the win. But it's definitely way up there. The fact that you kind of scratch and claw through this season and you start, let's go way, way back to even before training camp starts, the Michael Thomas fiasco. You got to figure that out. And then you're dealing with a quarterback change from Drew Brees to 4 different guys. Then Jameis Winston gets hurt. Oh, by the way, you're displaced because of a hurricane, and you lose home games. And then COVID and injuries elsewhere and suspensions, and he's able to navigate it through. And I think that is a huge, obvious benefit to have a great coach, because you and me have even talked about this. It helps when you have a viable coach, and I'm just going to compare to LSU when you don't have a viable coach, and this one can help make you through, and the other one, even with talent everywhere, it still falters. So I'd put it way up there. I'd say probably, I think it's fair to say top 3, because a lot of his good teams, they were good players. So I think this would be up there, the fact that your talent level, especially offensively, hasn't been good. I'm sure he's pulling his hair out constantly at the ineptness of the offense, but you're still able to grind out wins, and that's a huge kudos to Pate.
For sure. And he's on Twitter at Larry Holder, theathletic.com/New Orleans. So that's kind of the point, right? They're winning games, and I get it, they're right at 500, but they put themselves in this position doing something completely atypical. I mean, Larry, the 500 teams that Sean Payton's had in the past were teams where Brees threw for 5,000 yards, but they couldn't stop a nosebleed. This is the complete opposite, because they're winning with defense and special teams. So that's where I kind of lean into Payton finding a way to win in a different way, which is impressive. But if they're going to win on Sunday, they're going to have to get guys back. Do we know anything about status of players potentially returning who might be back this week?
I mean, I feel like we've been saying the same thing every week. I talk to you about Ramczyk and Armstead. You're waiting and waiting and waiting, and you're wondering why they weren't even on IR.
Right.
Maybe they couldn't even afford to do it. Like, that might be a real reason. They just don't want to bring someone else up on the roster. I don't know. But, they've had to make so many changes here and there, but everyone's waiting for that. I don't necessarily have any new info.
Okay.
I think everyone's just kind of sitting back and waiting, and you're just waiting and waiting and just assuming that they're not even going to be there. So, as far as you would hope Mark Ingram can return, that would help at least a little bit. Tre'Quan Smith, we'll see. But, at this point, what does it matter who's playing wide receiver? It's a crapshoot all the time. So at least I'd say just last week being able to get back to Mario and Quan and all these other guys and Malcolm Jenkins. And I would assume players like McCoy and Marcus Williams will be back off COVID. So you would probably have them in perfect timing there too. So as far as the injury guys, your guess is as good as mine. I think that's been a struggle and troubling for Saints fans, wondering how can you not even worry about putting them on IR, and they've missed, 5 games, 6 games. It's double the time you would take if they were just on IR.
Is there something about this matchup Sunday that really jumps off the page to you with Saints Falcons? Aside from just the obvious of the Saints, need to win to keep playoff hopes alive.
I like that the fact that the Saints have traditionally played very well pass rushing Matt Ryan. Now, that didn't happen the last time they played, which was kind of bizarre. And also, if you looked at the game against the Bills, Kyle Pitts was a little banged up. It seemed like he tweaked his hamstring, was trying to play through it. So if he's a little dinged, do they just hold him out for the final game? And what's the point in playing him? That might be something that we need to watch. I would worry about Cordero Patterson. He can be a bit of a game changer if you kind of keep your eyes shut, but I'm sure the Saints are going to be able to game plan for him and be ready to go. And so, I just think that when you look at kind of matchup skill position-wise, I think the Saints defense, needs to just play the way they've been playing. They know how important this game is. It's do or die. And so I feel like that's really the point we need to look out for. And if the Saints can scratch out some points, they can scratch out some points. If they win 12-9, so be it. But that's kind of the game I'm thinking we're going to be looking at here.
12-9 game. We saw 9-0. Why not? We saw 18-10. Why not?
I mean, we could see like a touchdown, a missed extra point, a couple of field goals, like for the Saints, and something just totally wacky. And then Younghoe Koo has been very good for the Falcons, and the Saints defense has been so good, and they're kicking indoors. Koo could kick some 50-yarders, but 12-9, like that, I'm expecting that kind of game, like 18-10, 12-9, 15-12, something wacky.
The absurdity of the Taysom Mafia. Look at his record. Yeah, and Tim Tebow won a playoff game. Shut up. All right, they're winning games, not even scoring touchdowns. It's insane.
There's really a Taysom Mafia. I need to know how all three members of that mafia.
They're out there. Larry, they hit me up every day. Well, he's 6-2 as a starter. Shut up, you idiot. They can't even score a touchdown. They literally, from Taysom's like long run against the Jets until Kamara's walk-off there at the end, they didn't score a touchdown. It's 3 games. It was 3 full games. It's insane how bad they are on offense, and they keep winning.
I just think back on the throw on Sunday where it was the only player that it was near was in the defender's hands for Carolina, and just dropped it, and everyone's just like, what is he looking at and throwing to? At least with Jameis, look, he can make touchdown throws and this, that, and the other, and what we've seen from Taysom Hill makes you crave for Jameis Winston. I mean, That's where we are, and that's like no joke. I mean, if let's just think about it. If they had Jameis Winston, they would have won at least a couple more games. And, I've been, and your listeners have kind of got on me about not being the biggest rah-rah Jameis guy, but compared to Taysom, I mean, Jameis is like Joe Montana. I mean, he's just, he can make plays, and even with an offensive line that's a little banged up, you feel way better with Jameis in there as far as being a pocket passer than Taysom does. And to win, and if you get in the postseason and you're going to want to win, you still need your quarterback to be able to make plays in the pocket.
He's on Twitter at Larry Holder, theathletic.com/New Orleans. Hopefully we're talking about a playoff game next week, man. Thanks for the time as always.
That'd be cool, because I guess otherwise we'll be talking about who's going to be quarterback next year, and let's not have that conversation yet.
Not just yet. Thank you.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.